John Wayne Gacy, a man who entertained children as a clown. Politicians shook his hand. But beneath one quiet suburban house in Illinois, investigators would later uncover one of the most horrifying crime scenes in American history. By the time the truth surfaced, 33 young men were dead. Chapter 1: The Face of a Perfect American Life. In the 1970s, John Wayne Gacy looked like the definition of success. He lived in a modest home in Des Plaines, Illinois. He ran a small construction business. He hosted parties. He volunteered at community events. Gacy was known for his friendliness, his jokes, his generosity. He even dressed up as a clown. Pogo the Clown, performing at hospitals and charity events? No one questioned him, because no one suspected him. Chapter 2: A Childhood That Shaped a Monster. John Wayne Gacy was born in 1942. His childhood was marked by a violent alcoholic father, constant humiliation, emotional abuse. Gacy later described his father as cruel and dominating. Psychologists would later say that Gacy grew up craving control, validation, power. As a teenager, he learned early how to hide his emotions and how to present a mask to the world. This ability to perform would later become deadly. Chapter 3: Early warning signs no one took seriously. Before the murders, there were red flags. In the late 1960s, Gacy was convicted of a sexual offense involving a teenage boy. He served time in prison. After his release, something shocking happened. He moved. He changed his image. He was welcomed back into society. No constant monitoring, no serious restrictions. The system let him start over, and that mistake would cost dozens of lives. Chapter 4: The Construction Business, a Hunting Ground. Gacy started a construction company. He hired teenage boys and young men, often runaways or those in need of money. He offered cash payments, alcohol, parties. For many, Gacy appeared generous. For some, he appeared powerful. And for his victims, he became something far darker. Chapter 5: The Method. Control before violence. Gacy didn't rely on brute force alone. He relied on trust. Survivors later described how Gacy would invite victims into his home, offer drinks or conversation, perform magic tricks involving handcuffs. Once restrained, escape became nearly impossible. The friendly host disappeared. What replaced him was someone obsessed with domination. Chapter 6: The House That Hid. What made Gacy's crimes especially disturbing was location. Most of the victims were murdered inside his own home. Instead of disposing bodies far away, Gacy hid them beneath the house, in the crawlspace. Over time, the smell became impossible to ignore. But Gacy explained it away. Sewage problems, dead animals, plumbing issues, and people believed him because they trusted him. Chapter 7: How he kept getting away with it. For years, people went missing. Teenage boys, young men. Some families reported them missing. Others assumed they had run away. Police investigations were often slow and fragmented. And Gacy was charming. He cooperated. He joked. He appeared helpful. Once, again, the mask worked. Chapter 8: The Victim Who Escaped. One young man survived. He reported the attack. He described the house. He named Gacy. But even then, the case moved slowly. This survivor would later become crucial because he proved one thing: Gacy wasn't a rumor. He was real. Chapter 9: The Beginning of the End. In 1978, a teenager named Robert Peast disappeared. Witnesses saw him last with John Wayne Gacy. This time, police did not let it go. They searched Gacy's house. What they noticed first wasn't a body. It was the smell. An unmistakable smell. Death. For the first time, police focused directly on Gacy, not as a background figure, but as a prime suspect. Something was very wrong. police obtained a search warrant for Gacy's home. They expected clues. They did not expect what they found. Inside the house, handcuffs, rope, pornographic materials, clothing that didn't belong to Gacy. But what disturbed officers the most wasn't visible. It was the smell. A thick, heavy odor coming from beneath the house. Gacy blamed it on plumbing problems, but experienced officers knew better. This wasn't sewage. This wasn't sewage. The man who never panicked. Rather than arrest Gacy immediately, police placed him under surveillance. They followed him. They watched his routines. They listened. And something about Gacy stood out. He wasn't afraid. He went about his life calmly. He joked with officers. He invited them into his home. This confidence would later be seen as one of his most disturbing. During surveillance, officers observed AC driving late at night. They followed him to a river. They watched as he threw something into the water. Police later recovered human remains. At that moment, the case shifted. This was no longer a missing person investigation. This was a mass murder case. Police returned to Gacy's home with stronger authority. This time, they went beneath the house. As they dug into the crawl space, they made the discovery that would haunt investigators forever. Human remains. Then more again. Layer by layer. The scale of the crimes becomes clear. As excavation continued, investigators realized this wasn't a few victims. It was dozens. Ultimately, 26 bodies were found beneath Gacy's house. Others were discovered in rivers. In total, 33 victims were linked to John Wayne Gacy. It became one of the largest serial murder cases in U.S. history. Chapter 17. Who were the victims? Most victims were teenagers, young men, runaways, those seeking work. Many were never reported missing. Some families waited years for answers. For some, identification took decades. Each body represented a life erased and a failure of protection. Gacy was arrested and questioned. At first, he denied everything. Then his stories changed. He blamed employees, accomplices, accidents. Eventually, he claimed he didn't remember committing the murders. But investigators noticed something chilling. Gacy spoke about his crimes without emotion, as if describing chores. Gacy's legal defense centered on one argument: insanity. His lawyers claimed multiple personalities, loss of control, mental illness. Psychologists were divided. But one thing was clear: Gacy understood right from wrong. He planned. He hid evidence. He lied. That mattered. In 1980, John Wayne Gacy stood trial. Families filled the courtroom. Media crowded the halls. Evidence was overwhelming. Physical remains, witness testimony, confessions, forensic proof. The friendly clown image was gone. What remained was reality. That. After weeks of testimony, the jury reached a decision. John Wayne Gacy was found guilty on all counts. The sentence: death. He showed no visible emotion, no apology, no remorse. Chapter 22. A nation in shock. The case stunned America. How could a man kill so many in his own home without being stopped? The answer was terrifyingly simple: because he looked normal. Chapter 23. Life after conviction. The man who refused to disappear. After his conviction, John Wayne Gacy was sent to death row. Most killers fade into silence. Gacy did the opposite. He spoke to reporters. He wrote letters. He granted interviews. And most disturbingly, he enjoyed the attention. For Gacy, prison was not the end. It was a new stage. Just after the death of John Wayne Gacy, psychiatrists examined Gacy extensively. Their conclusions were chilling. Narcissistic personality, antisocial behavior, extreme need for control, no genuine remorse. Experts agreed on one key point. Gacy understood what he was doing. He was not confused. He was not out of control. He was deliberate. Chapter 25. Multiple personalities. Truth or manipulation? Gacy claimed he suffered from multiple personalities. He named them. He blamed them. But psychologists saw this as a legal strategy, an attempt to escape responsibility. Medical evaluations concluded Gacy was sane and fully accountable. Chapter 26. The Paintings, Turning Murder into Merchandise. On death row, Gacy began painting. Clowns, self-portraits, abstract scenes. Some were signed Pogo. Shockingly, people bought them. Collectors, curiosity seekers, true crime fans. The idea that art created by a serial killer could be sold outraged victims' families. To them, it felt like profit built on. Chapter 27. The Families Left Behind. While Gacy gained attention, families mourned quietly. Some finally received remains. Others never did. Many said the hardest part was not knowing, not being believed, not being protected. Their grief did not end with the verdict. A man who loved control. Gacy often tried to control the narrative. He denied specific murders. He claimed some victims were killed by others. He shifted blame repeatedly. Investigators believe Gacy never told the full truth. Even on death row, he kept secrets. Chapter 29. The execution date approaches. Years passed. Appeals failed. In 1994, John Wayne Gacy's execution date was set. Public reaction was divided. Some demanded justice. Others debated morality. But for victims' families, this was not debate. It was closure. Chapter 30. The Final Hours. On May 10, 1994, John Wayne Gacy was executed by lethal injection. Witnesses reported he showed little emotion. His final words offered no apology, no explanation, no regret, just silence. When Gacy died, questions remained. Were all victims identified? Did he have accomplices? How many more bodies were never found? Some answers died with him. Silence. Why this case still terrifies America. John Wayne Gacy changed how America saw serial killers. He wasn't a loner. He wasn't isolated. He wasn't obviously dangerous. He was trusted. That realization terrified the public. Chapter 33. The warning Gacy represents. Gacy's case taught law enforcement and society painful lessons. Appearance means nothing. Charm can hide danger. Community trust can be exploited. And that monsters don't always hide in shadows. Sometimes they host parties. Chapter 34. After the execution, what changed? John Wayne Gacy was executed in 1994, but his death did not end the conversation. Law enforcement agencies across the United States began re-examining missing person investigations, background checks, early warning signs ignored in the past. Gacy became a case study, not just of murder, but of systemic failure. Chapter 35. How policing changed after Gacy. The Gacy case exposed serious gaps. Poor communication between departments, failure to track repeat offenders, dismissal of runaway reports. After Gacy, databases improved, interstate coordination increased, victim reporting gained priority. Progress came, but only after irreversible loss. Chapter 36. The house that no longer exists. Gacy's home was demolished. The land was cleared. The address changed, yet neighbors say the memory never left. For years, people avoided the location. Some refused to walk past it, because no demolition can erase what happened beneath that ground. Chapter 37: Identifying the Unnamed. Justice delayed, not denied. Decades later, forensic science continued the work Gacy refused to finish. Through DNA testing, previously unidentified victims were finally named. Families received answers, sometimes after waiting 40 years. For them, justice came late, but it came. Chapter 38: Why Gacy Still Appears in True Crime Culture. Books, documentaries, podcasts. Gacy remains one of the most discussed serial killers in history, not because of fascination, but because of fear. He shattered the myth that danger looks obvious. Chapter 39: The Danger of Glorification. Experts warn against turning killers into icons. Gacy painted, fans collected. His name became a brand. This disturbed families deeply. True story is not the killer. It is the victims. 33 lives, each with dreams, families, and futures stolen. They were sons, brothers, and friends. Remembering them means refusing to let the story center on the man who took them. So, are we actually going to believe that? Strong. Chapter 41: What Society Must Learn. The Gacy case teaches painful lessons. Believe survivors seriously. Question charm and authority. Protect the vulnerable. Silence helps predators. Awareness saves lives. So, Chapter 42: Final Thought: The Monster Next Door. John Wayne Gacy did not look like a killer. That is what made him dangerous. He reminds us that evil does not always hide in darkness. Sometimes it wears a smile. The final closing. This story is not meant to scare. It is meant to warn. Because the most dangerous monsters are not the ones we fear, but the ones we trust without question.